I want to get this straight right off the bat. Even the best speakers, the very best speakers, can sound bad. So just because you heard them sound bad, or I heard them sound bad, sometimes right here in this room, that doesn't mean anything. Because the greatness of a speaker, or amplifier, or DAC, or turntable, sometimes it takes work and time to get to it, right? Mediocre speakers sound mediocre all the time, and bad speakers really do sound bad all the time. But the great ones take some work to get to hear them at their full potential. And that's what this episode is all about. But before I get to that, I just want to do a quick shout out to my friend Ken McAuliffe. He has this incredible YouTube channel called Jazz Vinyl Audiophile. And he does tours of record stores. I mean, a gazillion record stores. And a lot of talk about jazz records, but all kinds of record stores. And he's been doing this a while. He's getting better and better. Check it out. I'm going to link to it directly below. So here's the thing about greatness. Now, you say, oh, I heard such and such a speaker at a show and it was awful, it sucked, blah, blah, blah. Well, shows, they have to set up the room, there's a million things going on, they're dealing with power line issues, all kinds of stuff. No, hearing something sound bad at a show doesn't mean it sounds bad. Okay, then if you heard it at a dealer and it sounded bad, well, I worked at a dealer for 16 years. Let me tell you something about hi-fi stores, is that the rooms in a hi-fi store, at least the way I experienced them, because I worked in more than one store, they're like erector sets. They get put together and taken apart sometimes many times a day, because we've got to move this speaker in this room, we've got to take that. So the time to actually perfect the sound in a room doesn't always happen. I'm not saying it's always like that, but I'm just saying a lot of the time the rooms are in a state of flux. That's the word I'm looking for. Even hearing a speaker sound not so great at a dealer doesn't mean it's not a good speaker or even a great speaker. So there's all kinds of issues going on with getting the best out of a pair of speakers. So I'll get a speaker in for review, pop open the box, hook them up, and go, I don't know. This is going to take a lot of work on my part, and it is my job. So if it takes a lot of work, it takes a lot of work. And I'm living with the thing. I'm learning about it, and I can sometimes turn a real corner there, and start to hear its real potential. Sometimes not, but sometimes the best ones take some time to get to know and really make them get up and dance, right? So first impressions, or impressions at shows, or impressions at dealers, I wouldn't hold that against the speaker or product itself. So in other words, what I'm saying here is that, let's say you can't go to a show, you can't go to a dealer, but you just buy a speaker online because it's gotten good reviews. A lot of reviewers raved about it. It's amazing, it's the best, blah, blah, blah. And you buy it and you're disappointed. Well, maybe it will be a disappointment, but you have to put some time in to figure out what's going on. The speaker is a passive object. It's how it's used that's going to bring out its full bloom of sound, right? You got to put in some time. Let's consider the parameters. Let me count the ways. So the first one, and the easiest one to poke at, is speaker placement. Well, it's huge because the speaker is interacting with the room, with the floor, with the ceiling, with the walls, with the furniture, with what you have on the floor, like a rug or carpeting. All of that changes the sound and its relationship to the floor, the wall. Everything is going to change the sound. So if you put the money into buying the speaker and you have hopes for it, you got to do the work. You got to roll up your sleeves and do some work. But then again, some rooms are just difficult in terms of their acoustics. I mean, if you have a lot of exposed glass or mirrors or something, or bare wood floors, hey, forget about speakers. If you put actual instruments in that room, they're not going to sound that good either. So speakers are not going to make a bad room sound good. So sometimes it just is the room. Then there's the size of the room. The ratio, let's say, of room size to speaker size is definitely a consideration. Small speakers tend not to do so well in really large rooms. Large speakers don't do well in really small rooms. So there has to be some sort of correct synergy there between speaker size and room size. Wrong size speaker for the room, it's not going to work miracles. So, getting back to shows or even dealers, but more likely at shows, there are, let's say, AC power line issues that seem to just play havoc with the sound of audio at hi-fi shows. And you got a whole room full of, you have a hotel. You have a whole hotel of all kinds of stuff going on in there. Everybody with big power amplifiers, yank a juice out of the wall. Computers, lighting systems. It can be a dangerous territory for quality audio. Of course, hotel rooms acoustics usually suck. So again, hearing it at a hotel, I don't know. It's not the best. It's not ideal environment to evaluate the subtleties of high-end audio. Then there's the question of amplifier speaker matching. Do they dance well together? Are they a happy couple? Because it's not even just an issue of how much power the amplifier has, or its output impedance, or the impedance of the speaker, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, they all play a role, but that's a complex situation because the signal just doesn't go from the amplifier to the speaker. There's some back EMF from the speaker. It's complicated. There's a lot going on there. So you never know. Even with high sensitivity speakers like horns, like the klipschas that I use here, they may be high sensitivity. That doesn't mean they're going to work well with an 8-watt amplifier. They might, but maybe not. You have to be open to experimentation. So it's best not to jump to quick conclusions about the quality of the sound coming out of a speaker. That's really what I'm saying here. It takes time, and then of course there's how many hours are on the speaker. If you believe in speaker break-in, that may be part of what's going on. If you don't believe in speaker break-in, that's fine with me. Then you can just open a box, hook it up, and expect full potential from the speaker. That's your choice. Anyway, I think I've laid out at least some of the reasons why it's very, very hard to come to a definitive conclusion about the sound of a speaker. At shows, at dealers, at home even, with let's say a home trial, and then part of that is you, or in this case, me, because we have to sort of, let's say, wrap our brains around what this speaker is doing to fully comprehend its sound. And that, again, there's a dance there. There's a dance between the listener and the speaker to fully comprehend what's going on. So, for example, right now, I'm in the midst of doing this Ohm Walsh 2000 speaker review. It's an omnidirectional speaker. It sounds way different than a horn speaker or a direct radiating box speaker or a Magnepan panel speaker. They all sound so different. So if the question is raised, Steve, what's the best one? Well, they're so different that I can't say that there's a better, but I can say how they sound different. And, it's my job. It's what I do all the time. But even for me, an audio professional, to wrap my brain, my ears, my body around what's going down here is complicated. It really, really is. And I'm always learning and stumbling upon things. Like last night I was listening to the Magnepan LRS speakers, and they have these, let's just say adjustments for the way they stand. In other words, how vertical they are. Are they angled back, or they're closer to being straight up? And I did the adjustment where I made them stand straighter up. And I was like, wow, I really like that. Now, it's not that I've never done that before, but I did it last night, and I was fussing with the toe end of the speakers, which they're very sensitive to, and everything just locked in. Now, I've been playing around with these speakers for maybe, is it a year? I don't think it's a year, but a long time now. Not continuously, I've done a million other things. But last night, my appreciation for the speaker, my feelings about the speaker, the sound of the speaker just jumped another 5% because of this relatively minor adjustment in the vertical angle of the speaker. It was always there. It took a little while for me to really get into it and discover, again, the speaker's full potential. So I want you to just think all about that before you jump to a conclusion about the sound of a speaker when you actually hear it. That's what this is all about today. My name is Steve Guttenberg. This is the Audiophiliac Daily Show, and it does come to you daily. So check it out as frequently as you can possibly squeeze into your busy schedule. You can like these videos, which I hope you do, or you can give them a thumbs down, which is understandable. But you could share them. That would be awesome. And check out the playlists. I've rearranged them slightly, so now I have interviews with people like Nelson Pass and John Grado and John DeVore in an easy-to-find location in the playlist, as before they were just mixed in with the Audiophiliac of the Day episodes. So there's lots there in the playlists, and there's also speaker reviews and headphone reviews and music reviews. Those are all separate playlists. And you can follow me on Twitter at AudiophiliacMan. And if you've gotten this far, yes, please check out my Patreon at patreon.com/audiophiliac.